Welcome to I Left the City, a show about the talented and skilled people who moved to Hastings County to find a wildly authentic life. I'm your host, Michelle Sampson. In this episode, I chat with Tracey Starrett, who left her corporate HR job to do something I have personally fantasized about: open a bookstore. If there's a dream business percolating in the back of your mind, Tracey's journey with the Stirling Book Company has lots of relatable lessons. We talk about making the leap into entrepreneurship later in life, how small personal touches are the way to beat big competitors, and why right now might be the perfect time to start your business in Hastings County. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome. As a fellow book lover, I'm really excited to have this conversation. I'm going to put you on the spot if you're willing. What are you reading right now?
I just finished reading the Unmaking of June Farrow, which is our May book club selection. We're having our book club meeting on Thursday night. And I just started in audio the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, which is fantastic in an audiobook because you get all the different accents. So it's great.
I think our tastes are pretty well aligned because a couple of your previous book club picks, Tomorrow and Tom Lake, are both absolute favorites of mine. We'll talk a bit more about special events later. Maybe let's back this up a little bit. Where are you from, Tracey?
I actually was born in England. I lived there until I was 11 and a half. My family came to Canada and we sort of landed in Thornhill, moved to North York, then moved to Scarborough. So I did my kind of growing up years in North York, Scarborough, Thornhill area. And then when I got married, moved to Whitby. So there's been a few where am I from. But as I said, the longest time has been Whitby. That definitely is, it's where my children were born. It's where my children were raised. And so that definitely feels like the most home place for me.
I'm surprised to hear you grew up in the UK because I don't hear the accent.
Well, when you're 12 years old and everybody points out your accent, you lose it really quickly because you just want to blend in with everybody else. Once you get to about 16, 17, it's definitely harder for people to lose their accent. So you'll notice people who come here older do have an accent, but when you're 12, you just want to blend in with everybody else and drop the accent, especially if it's a Yorkshire accent, that's for sure. So
being a preteen is hard enough.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm curious then how you ended up in Hastings County. Were you, you weren't too far away, but how familiar were you with the county before moving here?
Not really, actually. Our daughter was going to university in Ottawa. Our son was going to university in Kingston. So we kind of drove through a lot, but we didn't actually spend a lot of time here, and wanted to get a move, out of Whitby, something maybe a little less suburban, a little bit less, the kind of 9-to-5 rat race, and started looking out here and thought this area was beautiful and central to where they were at university, and also not too far away from family back in the Whitby area.
It's a common saying for people who've ended up in Hastings County that, you're close to Ottawa, you're close to Toronto, but you have that gorgeous rural setting, while being so close to both. So when you first came, was it as a resident only?
As a resident, but also working. So I was working out in the area, and then didn't open the business until last summer.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to spend some time talking about the business. I mean, most bookish people, I would say, including myself, have fantasized about opening a bookstore at some point in their life. You actually did it.
Yeah.
How long was the idea percolating, let's say, before you actually dove in?
Probably quite a while. I remember having a conversation with my sister and, just having worked in a corporate job for most of my career, thinking about what did I want to do sort of for the last 10, 15 years of working, and kept saying to her, I just want to work in a bookstore. I had worked in a bookstore when I was at university for about a year or so and loved it. And thinking back to that, the transactional part of it, but also the making connections with people. And then obviously the books and the literature and, all the things that sort of are wrapped around that. So it had been percolating for quite a bit. And then we had a few opportunities to talk to other people who own bookstores. We talked to Aline, who owns the Books on Main in Bath, and that was a really serious conversation. That was a snowy day in January in 2024 where it was like, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? And definitely I've told her already, but definitely the conversation with her really, really helped us make our decision. Plus the availability of rental space in Stirling to be able to choose a store. So I had been looking at storefronts, and a few times there'd been a storefront I was interested in, but we hadn't really done anything yet. And then all of a sudden somebody else was renting it. So it was like, oh, rats, that one's gone, the other one's gone. And then the one that we're in now was needed a lot of repair. We weren't interested in doing that. And then all of a sudden the landlord did all the repairs, and it was up for lease.
Ah,
So that was really nice. It was kind of a turnkey, but definitely had been percolating for quite a bit. And I'd say there were quite a few people that were instrumental in it. As I said, having the conversation with Aline at Books on Main, talking to Jean, who runs Studio in Stirling. She had retired from her professional life in municipal government and then decided to open a store. And she's older than I am. And so I started thinking, she can do it. Why wouldn't I do that too? And then also conversations or just being at the Stirling Library and thinking, I love this environment. Why am I not doing something like this? And so I think there was a lot of those factors that went into it.
wow, that really speaks to the power of role models and mentorship.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you leave your previous corporate work when you started the bookstore, or were you kind of transitioning and doing a bit of both?
It was a very short transition. My daughter is a teacher, and so she was definitely a linchpin for us opening in the summer. We had originally been hoping to open at the end of June. Our son got married May 31st last year. So leading up to his wedding, the store opening was a very busy time. And so we kind of pushed the store out, opening out about another week or so, and opened July 11th, because that way she was able to be the face of the store during the day. I took vacation from my job and for the first 2 weeks. And then I ended up leaving my job by the end of the summer. So really it was just a little bit of overlap with all of us. My husband, my daughter, myself during the first couple of months. And then once she was sort of going back to regular teaching, we wanted to give her a little bit of a breather at the end of the summer. So I left my job at the end of August and then was basically full time in the store as of the end of August.
So it was all hands on deck at the beginning.
Yeah.
Your daughter's still contributing though now,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So she does all of our social media and a lot of our window designs. She's very creative like that. She's also in the store with me, obviously not necessarily during the day. She's teaching, but sometimes on the weekends. My husband has a regular job. So he will come in on Saturdays and he's, our guy behind the scenes, fixing shelves and all those kinds of things that he also does at home. So he's doing it for us in the store as well. Our son not as involved as much because he lives in Guelph. He's married and he's teaching out there. We tap into him for his book recommendations as well because he reads different things than we do. And so we all kind of give our book recs and our staff picks as well for, to have some variety.
Very much a family business.
Yeah.
Eight months, 9 months in, how are things going?
Good. Definitely was a lot of interest in the community before we opened. We had the brown paper on the store saying what we were, that we were coming soon. And we started our social media so we could kind of build some momentum. So we did a soft opening, June 11th, we just opened the door and we're like, hope people come. And definitely people came and people were kind of waiting for us to open, which was really exciting. So we've had a really, really, tremendous response from the community. And a lot of times it's not necessarily to shop, it's to browse, to be in that environment, which we appreciate. Obviously, we need people to shop too, but definitely a lot of support and, people wanting to partner with us, to do events or to do kind of collaborations. For example, one of the other customers, he's a chef and runs a catering company, and he and I are always talking about what can we do together. Yeah, so definitely a lot of support. People were surprised that we do individual orders too. So, we're only 600 square feet, so we can't carry every book that's out there or even every new book that's out there. So a lot of orders, and they're surprised that we've probably done about maybe 250 individual orders
Wow.
since we started. So yeah, so definitely a lot of support. I'm not going to lie, in retail, you can always, you always need more customers and, more sales because there's that big bad competitor that's eating up the book
Mhm.
industry. So we want people to enjoy us. We don't want people feeling pressured to buy, but we definitely need customers to, to continue to support us. From the time we started, we had postal strike in just before Christmas, which
Ooh.
didn't really help with our Christmas card sales. Then we had adjustments for the HST, which seemed to make people delay shopping a little bit because they're waiting until, the HST came off. But then we had the threats of the tariffs. So people weren't sure were our books going to be more expensive. So we tried to communicate that, nothing has had a tariff yet. All of our stock is what we've already purchased. So not going to be affected with that. So it's always something. It's always something to try and adjust to.
So yeah, if you're within easy driving distance of Stirling, come on in, buy some books, and put in those orders. If you've got a specific item that you want, and then you don't have to worry about trying to get it from Amazon.
That's right.
I mean, this has been an interesting year for Canadian pride and supporting Canadian business. Have you seen any difference in traffic thanks to all of that?
Definitely people are interested in Canadian authors, books that are published locally. We're very fortunate out here. We have at least two. Don't want to leave anyone out, but two publishers that I deal with, Invisible Publishing and Assembly Press. They're both located in Picton, and they produce a lot of great material. And so we obviously try and highlight that. And we did like what a lot of stores did. We put Canadian flags on all of the things that were either made in Canada or written in Canada, Canadian type products for all the books. And people were interested in seeing that. And a lot of times, like, oh, I didn't realize that was a Canadian author, or I didn't realize that was published in Canada. So it's definitely helped with that.
So back to your events, you guys have such a broad program of events, which are all so interesting. From a business perspective, which has been like the most effective?
Well, the book club definitely, because that's an ongoing event, and we try to make the book club open and not make it feel like a chore for people. So if it's a book you don't want to read, then you don't need to participate that month. So we have about probably 25 people on our roster for the book club that I send the email out to, let them know what the book choice is, or for them to make suggestions about what the book choice is. But we don't have that number of people coming to the meeting. The most people we have come to the meeting is the one this Thursday on the houseboat. We'd agreed that we only wanted to go until May just because people's lives get busy in June with other commitments. And but we're going to have what we call an outing. So this meeting is going to be on a houseboat this Thursday. It's
Ooh.
H2O Houseboats out of Trenton. And the owner of that is a member of the book club. So she had offered for us to have our final regular sort of season meeting on the houseboat, which will be really, really fun. And then in the summertime, we're going to pick something that's maybe a little bit lighter read, and then just do an outing, like a picnic in the evening. The reading is important, but it's also about giving people an opportunity to connect. Quite a lot of people who are in the book club are also fairly new to the community, and looking for a way to connect with people. So the book club's a good way to do that. Even if people don't come to the book club, we show in the store that this is a book club selection for the month. We have a couple of posters up that have shown all the books that we've chosen throughout the period of time. And so some people take that just as a recommendation. So, oh, that's your book club choice. Oh, I might get that for our book club. And so then they do that as well. So definitely that's in terms of participation and also sales. That's been the one that's generated the most. We had some fun events for book launches. We had at the end of, the end of January, the third book in the Fourth Wing series came out, Onyx Storm, big book launch, one of the most successful books in the last 30 years, Onyx Storm, in terms of pre-sales. And we had a midnight release party. So we had about 10 people on a Monday night in January at 10:30 at night in Stirling is pretty remarkable. And I think it was all women, all the women were there saying, I can't believe I'm out on a Monday night in Stirling and it's practically midnight. And it was fun. And just people getting out, celebrating the book, doing some of the activities, food was sort of themed to the event. We did a launch for Emily Henry's new book. We did that on the Tuesday, just, kind of 11 o'clock. And again, people just sort of trickling in for that, some trivia. We found that our events are small, but the people who come to them enjoy them. And again, that just sort of spreads the word that, oh, I'll come to the next one. I didn't know you had that. I'll come to the next one. So
Right.
story time on Saturdays, we get a lot of local authors who've written children's books and ask for us to carry their book in the store. It's really hard for us to help them get sales when they're competing with Bluey and Paw Patrol and, other books that are widely known by kids because of the crossovers with, TV and marketing. And so, coincidentally, most of the books were about dogs. So we decided to give it a theme for the month. And so we called it Going to the Dogs. And we invited the authors to come in and talk about, to read their stories. To the kids and to have a little activity. A lot of times it's a coloring page or something like that. And so we've had those basically every Saturday in the month of May. We still have one more to go. And that's been successful too. So it gives those authors an opportunity to come to the store, promote their book, hopefully get a little bit of sales. And even if there's no sales that day, again, there's some traction with the social media. Somebody might not be able to come to our event, but they might see those people at a craft fair, which is where a lot of them sell their books, and go, oh, hey, that was a story that was going to be at Stirling Book Co. Let's go and check them out. So again, our exposure helps them, again, the ripple effect, keeping their name out there in the community. So that's been a positive thing too.
I love that. It's such an innovative way to bridge that gap. You know,
Yeah,
people don't know the local author yet, but they can come into the store and hear the author speak and tell the story directly from them. So that's
that's
amazing.
right.
Another event I'd love to hear about is Madoc Mysteries Dinner Theater.
Oh, so that wasn't our event, but we did a pop-up. So the Stirling Festival Theater does dinner theaters. They did that one in, I guess it was in the wintertime. And they were doing kind of a play on the Murdoch Mysteries books and TV series. And we carry all of the Murdoch mystery books. They were written before the TV series, which a lot of people don't know, Canadian author and in Toronto. And so we carry those books. We had approached the theater, Ken McDougall, who was the executive director of the Stirling Festival Theater, and said, hey, our books kind of cross over what you're doing. Could we do a pop up? So we went and we did a pop up, to sell those books, plus all mystery related. And we had a table, we took
Mm.
all of our mystery books and we took the Murdoch mystery books and had that crossover. For us, it was great. We had a lot of people coming through that dinner theater over the course of 2 nights that wouldn't necessarily have heard of us yet. A lot of people coming from outside of Stirling, of the immediate area. And first thought was, oh, I didn't know there was a bookstore in Stirling. Oh, I didn't know that Murdoch Mysteries were books. So it kind of gave an opportunity for that. We had another opportunity with Stirling Festival Theater to do another pop-up. They had Wine and Cheesy Love Songs event that was supposed to be for happening Valentine's weekend. And it got canceled because of the storm. And so they rescheduled it to April. And we had, which a lot of stores do, we do a thing called Blind Date with the Book. So you cover out the book in brown paper. You just tell a little bit of information about what the book is. And like a blind date, you don't know what you're going to get. It's a romance, maybe it's nonfiction, it's a young adult book. And people choose the book based on the little description that you give. And so we did that as a pop-up at the Stirling Festival Theater when they were doing their Love Songs event. And again, a lot of great sales, and then a lot of people saying, hey, wow, there's a bookstore. So giving us a little bit of follow-up business as a result of that.
So you're working with the local theater, you're working with a local chef, you're working with the houseboat. Can you talk a little bit about this? It sounds like the business community is very collaborative.
Oh, absolutely. So we're a member of the Business Improvement Association in Stirling. And, the town's had a bit of a rough go with COVID, and
Mm.
then both major roads in the town being ripped up for construction related piping, et cetera. So some infrastructure improvements, which are great for the town overall, but definitely hurt those businesses during that period. And they overlapped with COVID. And so, people stop going somewhere and then they find something else to fill that gap. And so it's been a bit of a
Mm.
challenge for the town, the business community to sort of reintroduce themselves. So, we're new. There's a couple of other businesses that were new. And so with the BIA definitely working hard to sort of try and promote everybody. and also collaborate. So a lot of events where we're all helpful to put each other's posters in each other's windows. We had, again, with the theater, they were doing a production of Godspell last summer. We had just opened. And so they were doing a tour around the town with the actors. A couple of the actors came in and filmed a little funny segment in the store, pretended
Mhm.
that they were reading some books. And so, yeah, I think there's, because everything's within walking distance. It takes not even 5 minutes for us to walk through the two kind of main arteries where there's a lot of retail. So it's easy for people to be able to collaborate for that. When we run our book club, we don't have a lot of seating because we're really a bookstore. We only have 4 or 5 seats. And so we've kind of made
Mm.
do with some of the nights. And then other nights, we've been loaned chairs from the Fire Hall Cafe, which is what I can see outside my window every day. They're not open in the evening, so they lent us 10, 12 chairs for some events that we were having. Um, we also just did a birthday party for a 9-year-old on Saturday night before Mother's Day. And this was a customer that we've had a great relationship with, Marcel, and she had asked if we could do the birthday party for her daughter. And so it was, nine-year-old girls, and just about the right size of crowd for that our space. And so we had that after hours. And yeah, it was a nice environment. And we cleared off one of the tables so that they could do an activity and they could have, their pizza. And then we did a scavenger hunt in the store that was related to the way the store is set up, or some things related to books that they might have read. And so they definitely all enjoyed that. And again, Fire Hall Cafe lent us their chairs so that we could do that. So a lot of support amongst the community altogether, which is really great.
I love that. And are you feeling that sort of sense of community as a citizen, as a resident as well?
Oh, absolutely. Just yesterday, I was actually in Frankfurt getting in my car, and Rhonda, who runs Fire Hall Cafe, was going into Home Depot or Home Hardware, sorry, and yelled hi. I wasn't expecting to see her there. So, I'm in the store seeing people every day. Here's my little boast. You're not getting first name basis service from Amazon, possibly either
Mm.
from Indigo. But I'm getting there. We probably got close to about 1,000 customers that have come through. Obviously, some are one time only, some are from out of town. We've had customers who've been on vacation from LA and from Vancouver. We count those as well. But there's lots of regulars who come in, and families that come in. So definitely getting to know people on a first name basis. Books come in, and I think, you know what, I think this person would like that book. I'll let them know that we have it. So
Mm.
it definitely has that feeling of community. Um, my husband and I are also members of the Stirling and District Horticultural Society, and so there's a
Mm.
lot of overlap with those members. Our BIA, some of the people on the BIA, coming in as customers. So you're getting to see people in a number of different arenas, essentially, and so definitely makes it feel like a community.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, so, one of the things we want to accomplish with this series is to convince maybe someone who's on the fence. They're thinking about making a move to Hastings County, but they're not quite sure yet, and they're listening to these stories to figure out what it might look like and what it might feel like after they arrive. So, would you recommend that other entrepreneurial people like yourself or professionals make that move?
Oh, absolutely. There's a couple of reasons. One is there's space available for businesses, right? Even on the street where I'm on, there's empty stores, and so there's a need for that. There's a need for diversity in terms of what's being offered. So if you've got a unique business idea, there's an opportunity to come, and get some good space. A lot of our buildings are built in the 1900s. They've got interesting design features. It's not a big box store that's got no personality. So there's places you can rent. There's a need for business. People are definitely trending towards trying to shop local. Not everybody wants to shop on Amazon, especially now. Not everybody wants to do the big box thing. So people are trying to come to smaller towns to buy things and support their local businesses. So again, there's that push. It's just a slower pace of life as well. Most of the stores on our street are open, like 11 till 3, 10 till 3. We probably have, as a retail business, we probably have the longest hours, although we're closed Mondays and Tuesdays and Sundays, but we're open 10 to 5 during the week. A lot of the businesses are 11 till 3. So, I mean, if that works for you, there's always work to do outside of your retail business, but it's not like you're doing a 9 to 5 and then everything else on top of that. So it might lend itself to a little bit slower pace of life for someone, or you know, give them an opportunity to be more involved in their community or with their family, as well as, as well as running the business. I think also I look at what Whitby was like when we moved there in the early 90s, and, where Stirling is right now. There's definitely the older residential communities that have been there for a long time, but there's a couple of new subdivision. There's a new, I think, apartment building complex that's being built. And so that's bringing new people to the community. A lot of them are GTA transplants. I've talked with many of them coming through the store. And so they want the slower pace of life, but they still want to access things that they would have maybe accessed if they were living back in the GTA. Restaurants, stores, services, all of those kinds of things. So I think there's a desire for it. And then I think that also the opportunity in terms of space and market. And yeah, I think it's a good fit for people if they were looking to do that.
So there's retail space, there's housing,
Yeah,
there's opportunity, there's people who are looking to shop local.
we're just really looking for somebody to come and open a sushi restaurant up here.
Ah,
Be really nice. So if there's anybody listening that's their thing, we really would love that.
perfect. You heard it here first. Um, okay, so what's next for you, Tracey, and for the shop? What's coming up? What are you excited about?
Well, obviously, just continuing to grow what we've already started. Building our sales for us on the back end of things. It's been a huge learning curve. As I said, I worked in a store for a couple of years when I was in university, but I'd never owned a retail business before. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, in owning a bookstore, managing the inventory, all of that, figuring out how to do all the returns and what to bring in. I'd say the biggest learning I had opening the store was I'm shocked is just how many books get published every Tuesday. And so kind of trying to
Mm,
stay on top of that. I've talked to people who run a bookstore for years, and they say, "Oh, we're still not on top of that. So don't beat yourself up." So that was kind of good to hear that it wasn't just me. So definitely getting more comfortable with the behind the scenes side of it. And, having some routine to some of those kinds of things, but then also growing the way we want to. So expanding some of our service offerings, so our events, trying to see what people like, what's going to be, successful or not. Maybe the birthday party that was in our business plan originally, we just hadn't got there yet. So the customer asking us to do the birthday party kind of pushed that to the forefront a little bit. And now we had a great time doing it. So that answered that one question. Yes, we'd do it again. And so it's a matter of maybe sort of packaging that in a way that we could market that to people to say, hey, this is an opportunity if you want to have a, certain age group of kids party, or if you're an adult and you want to have a bunch of girlfriends together as a
yeah.
private shopping event or somebody's birthday, or you want to have a shower, or you're a book lover and you want to propose to your girlfriend in our store. Like, we're open for all that kind of stuff. So we're open to um, really trying to hear what the community wants, and with us also suggesting some things. So it's a bit of a combination of both. And then the partnerships. And so what might some of those look like? Getting a sense of how we can also partner more maybe with schools, or other kind of community groups. We chatted with local Rotary members, about a way that we might be able to support them when they have their Rotary international students coming to Canada and living here for a year. So we're looking at some things like that. So just a lot of really looking at what's happening in our community and how can we be a part of that, and how can we support.
Wow, so many opportunities and exciting times ahead. We're getting close to our time
Yeah.
here. Any final thoughts? Anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to bring up, or you want to wrap it up in any way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're a bookstore, so we're retail, and we're part of the consumer, world out there. But I think one of the things that we've all had an experience with is how passionate people can be about reading, about books, about authors, about subject matter that are in those books. And we are trying to, support that. It's often very moving for us when people come and talk about a book they loved or ask us to help them find a book for a certain person. We've had a couple of customers who were, buying books for their aged parents, and recently I just learned that one of those parents passed away, and so it was really special for us to be part of that during that time. We had a family come in and wanted to buy a gift for someone who had lost a child. And so those are things that kind of took us by surprise of being asked to be
Mm.
part of that and asked to make some recommendations. Now, those are a little heavy, but then there's also the flip side where people come in and go, "Hey, it's my brother's 50th birthday. He's got a great sense of humor. Can you suggest something?" And so being able to find something and then that person tell you, oh, that's exactly what they wanted. And so lets us be a little part of many of our customers' lives in a way that we weren't necessarily expecting, moving beyond just that transaction of providing a book and helping select something and also them allowing you to be part of an event or a circumstance that's happened in their lives, which ends up being really, really meaningful for us. And then just getting to know lots of the families as well. My mom worked for a dentist for over 30 years. And so one of the things she loved was being able to see the families grow up over time. And so we're starting to feel that
Mm.
way too. We're seeing people who've come in, friends of ours brought their 11-day-old baby last year. She was born on July 1st. She came when we had just opened. She still holds the record for being the youngest person in our store. She's almost a year old now, and we've watched her. Her mom comes in almost every Friday, and we've watched her grow up in her first year. And so those are some of the things that we weren't expecting, that have been really moving and have been really meaningful for us. And we hope that those all can continue.
Wow, Tracy, you've made such a great case for people to, support their local bookstore, whether that's Stirling Books or, whichever else is local.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This was a fantastic chat. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
That's it for this episode. To learn more about the Stirling Book Company, check out the links in the show notes. And if after hearing this episode, you're inspired to move your home and work to Hastings County, head over to investinhastings.ca to find startup and relocation advice, commercial property listings, and lots of other business resources. New episodes of I Left the City are coming soon. To make sure you don't miss them, subscribe now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or YouTube. I Left the City is an initiative of the Hastings County Economic Development Department. It's produced by Storied Places Media and hosted by me, Michelle Sampson. Thanks for listening.